to have a customer, to meet the needs of a customer. But Peter Drucker put great emphasis on the customer. What about society? And now again, that's a nice big fat word that we can all trundle out, and it's good on the T-shirt and it's good on the barricades. But what does this word mean? And for a business, at any rate, I think it's very important to distinguish from your immediate community. The people who live around the steel mill, or the people whose village is going to get moved because of the mine. The people who see the business and work in the business. And here the aeroplane's going overhead to land at Heathrow Airport, so there's an immediate community, physical, if you like, in its definition. And then there's a national community that derives the tax benefit from the company. And these two can very often, and actually in our continent, in Africa, are very often at odds with each other. Because very often the tax revenue goes into the national capital and never comes out magically. So the benefit to the national fiscus and the benefit to the local community are not necessarily the same. So when I say, who is business and what does it want to do? What do you want to offer your shareholders? I mean, do you want to offer your shareholders a 30% return for holding the shares for 3 months? Or do you want to say to people, companies like trees need time to grow? What investment offers do you want to make? And I think companies need to be selective. And personally, I'm not really interested in the day trader. He must take his risks to be up or to be down. What do you want to offer to your employees in terms of fair wages and fair treatment? Do you want to offer absolutely secure employment? And what would those words mean? I think interesting questions that the state, as South Africa's largest employer, is facing right now. What promises do you want to make, and what promises can you keep? What do you want to say to your customers? It's quite important. I guess Toyota is thinking a lot about what it wants to say to its customers. You remember the tagline that says, everything always goes right with Toyota. Okay. But I suppose want to say something about quality and price. What do you want to say to the immediate community? When I was working for a mining company, because mining has got a defined beginning, middle, and end, you find an ore body, you dig it out of the ground, it's over. You leave a hole behind you of one kind or another. That's what it is. So we said we wanted to say that the community would be better off for us having been there in the past tense. Again, a nice set of words, but what on earth do they mean? What do you want to say to the nation state about your willingness to pay taxes? And can we talk about business having a tax morality? I think South Africa has done incredibly well, actually, in instilling a measure of tax morality amongst ordinary citizens. And the expansion of the tax base at the bottom, with the lowest paying taxpayers, is a truly remarkable achievement. I had a bit of a debate with my colleagues in mining about what would be a fair tax rate on average for mining companies over the life of an ore body. Would it be 25% or 30% or 33%? But I'm talking about this level of specificity if we're to say that values mean anything and can be used to shape behavior. So my second challenge, if we've done some thinking about values, and of course the thinking never ends because none of these questions have got final solutions. I mean, hopefully we're all old enough to remember that the phrase final solution was a pretty awful phrase. But we've engaged in the discussion about values and we're trying to work out what we realistically can offer. If it were to stop there, well then it's good for a video, maybe even a song and a T-shirt. But if it's to be a guide to ongoing human behavior, it's got to be translated into metrics and standards, or standards and metrics, I suppose, would be the logical order. Now here, marvelously, we can learn from the accountancy profession. And what we can mainly learn is that the standards and the metrics are never simple. And actually, they never get finished. There's also no final solution here. So, when I started in business, the word people used most often to decide whether they were successful or not was the word profit. What profit has your company made last quarter, the last 6 months, the last year? You hardly ever hear the word profit anymore, by the way, because the profit is now, in accounting terms, unbelievably complicated. What you tend to hear more about is earnings, and even more about adjusted earnings, or the one I really loved, adjusted earnings, or earnings adjusted for the fair value treatment of non-hedge instruments. So, the nice word of money in and money out has become complicated, and it's become complicated of necessity. We've evolved economic instruments that use time. And as somebody explained, when you start using time as an active element in the equation of balance sheets and income statements, it's like Chinese baseball, which I'm told is when the ball is in the air, the bases can move. So indeed, if we're to think about standards and metrics for the non-profit related or non-accounting related aspects of business, these will be complicated. And all that I would say about this is that they should be as clear as possible, they should be as evidence-based as possible, they should go beyond sentiment. And we should be ready to write these things down and try to get clarity about them. Now, we actually have lots of alternatives globally. My colleague has spoken about the Global Compact, which I very solidly endorse, and every organization I've ever been associated with in the last 30 years has joined up to the Compact and found it very useful. On reporting, we have GRI. We also have the Equator Principles, a group of banks who got together and decided that in order to fund particularly projects dealing with development and dealing with the environment, that they would develop a set of principles. We have a number of international standard organizations. I mean, by the way, an international organization, I think, of great worth and of great merit, and done tremendous work on evidence-based standards. So ISO 9000, ISO 14000, and the ISO that's coming on social responsibility. I think it would be very helpful if we could try to get some degree of congruence between these sets of standards. And it's not really any different between South African GAAP, US GAAP, and the internationally accepted accounting standards. But particularly if you're going to try to measure the behavior of companies that operate in different companies, to have one set of rules would be very useful. What I would stress is that I think, and I don't think we're there yet, it's really important for us to get to a point where the measurement shapes behavior and reflects the real working of the companies, not just its corporate social responsibility activities, which of course are important. But it reflects the warp and the woof of how the company actually shapes and is shaped by the society. And let me just illustrate one sense of what I mean by that. There is a delightful accounting concept which I seem to confront almost daily. And the only reference I'm going to make to Eskom was that was indeed, this was a concept I thought about every minute while I was at Eskom. It's the concept of, are you a going concern? It's a delightfully simple concept. I think you'll agree it sounds much better to be a going concern than not to be a going concern.